Hi there, I'm Nu-Trix, and today we're looking into a virtual drum machine from XilsLab. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. XilsLab or Xil or Xil. I'll say XilsLab. I like that sound. I like it sound like XilsLab. It's called Stix. And I'm very happy about how this works and what it can do. In a nutshell, this is a drum machine that has plenty of synthesis in it. There's a massive list of samples you can take from, but you don't have to use sample. And you can use some sample with synthesis, or you can use it in parallel. So, there's a lot of real-time controller, and the sequencer itself is very, very flexible. Each beat can have different timing if you want, and it's very, very flexible. And on top of that, your keyboard here, section of it can control drums. You can play them live. You can mute them as the loop play, and you can trigger the different patterns here. So it becomes a real-time playing of a drum machine. So that's really cool. Let's just go to a tour of the interface itself. So at the top, you can just basically, there's all these options to load. So you can just type the type of bank you want to have access. There's a lot of ways of finding what you want. When you load in this section here in projects, you're basically loading everything, meaning new drum kits and new patterns. But you can separately just load different kits here. You can save your own stuff. You can actually search for one. That browser is very efficient. There's different ways to find stuff. Is it, factory? Is it bank? You can have it this year. Is it the style you want? So it's really efficient and fast to actually find something. So I'm going to close this for now. In the parameters, you can come in and select display and change different options here. Be careful that if you change some of them, you have to close the song and reload the song. Only do this when you're ready that everything you've done is saved. And there's a MIDI connection you can also play with here. When you look at how this works, you basically have the synthesis section at the top here, okay? Actually, the synthesis section up to here with advanced that you have here, and you have easy. So there's two ways to look at this. There's the easy and advanced. Then there's a song setting for the patterns here. You have the patterns graphic, the rhythm itself, and you have three different ways to look at it and change different things, which is really powerful. You get a mixer at the bottom here with mute, pan, and solo and level. You have effects send, and this is per sound. So if you change the sound here by clicking on it, you're basically always having a different controls here. So you can assign to delay, reverb, and phaser as a send. So everybody goes into the same reverb. There's only one delay, and they're here, delay, reverb, phaser, compressor. There's one, and you can send to it. And there's also a distortion that is per sound. So you can distort the snare and separately the hi-hat, whereas the delay is the same for everybody if you want to use it. And then this section here is pretty cool. It's the real-time control or playing back of this. So we'll finish with this, you'll see. So synthesis part, of course, you can select the sound at the top, bass drum, snare, and then I can play them on the keys here. So, okay, so the bass drum here, we have controls. I mean, if you're in easy mode, that's what you have here, easy mode. You have basically three sections. You've got the synthesis part, cut off, stretch. Turn off this. Resonance. And you've got different ways of having the pitch change. You want it to be it's going away from it, and you want it to be going to the pitch that you have. So there's different ways to do it. You have velocity control the volume, velocity control the VCF, the filter, velocity controlling the decay. So you can have velocity having a longer decay or shorter decay, velocity to the release. If you're not sure, you hold it and you have the information showing up. And macros can be assigned to different things. And that's, you go, where is the macro there? Well, actually, they're in the different windows. And then this section here, you've got control about filter. You know, you can filter low and high, so you can, you know, sculpt it the way you want. But here you can just click and decide which sound you want to load. Bass drum, there's a bunch of presets you can load, and even some with FM features here. You go, well, still, it's not a huge amount of control. I mean, it's enough for most people, and you'll be able to have, you just look the sound. You can easily just, you know, go around and find the one you want. And then you get step modulation, meaning that modulation 1 and 2 can be controlled by steps here. So these are two mods, and you decide where it's going to be assigned to. Mod 1 is controlling, in this case, filter frequency for the, filter frequency, the cutoff point. Envelope generator decay for the first one, and VCO, the wave shape of VCO 1. And go, well, where's VCO 1 and 2? Well, it's because we're in easy mode that we don't see it. And if you want to control these or program these, if you look this here at the pattern section, you see right now these are where the notes are playing. But if you switch to single and you're in bass drum because it's selected here, then you see that you've got control about where it's going to be playing, the position where it's going to be playing, so it can be a little bit early or really late, the velocity of it. So velocity would control these controls here, velocity. You've got gate, so the length of the sound playing. And we got modulation 1 and 2. So these here are being controlled with these here. So a lot of control right away off the bat with the pattern itself. So all of this could change with this. So really, really interesting. So you see the link now between this and the velocity, mod 1 and 2 with mod 1 and 2, and of course, where the sound is being played. Now this section here, if we go back to the controller for the sound, it's a little bit the same thing. I mean, these are modulation. You have 4 different zones that you can assign to different modulation here. And when they're assigned to this, the movement left to right and top to bottom of this, so let's say I'm going to say I want this to unlock. So it's going to move. And as this move, it changes these values depending on how deep the movement you want it to happen. So if you move this up, there's going to be more movement. This is the assignment, the amount of it. Okay. So it creates this ever-moving changes in your sound. So it might not be what you want, but this is available, and you got 2 vertical and 2 horizontal assignment if you want to. Now, I like to go into the advanced part. Now, the advanced part is really where if you want to tweak your sound and make them your own to the maximum, that's where it is. You've got your 3 different envelope controlling your 3 different sound generator. So that's just for the kick drum. You have for the VCA, VCF, and pitch envelope, so the amplitude, filter, and pitch envelope, you can select if it's going to be kind of a normal ADSR or attack, decay, looping. So you get the attack, decay, sustain, and release. So you can switch between those here. And if you want it to be faster or slower, you can multiply or divide the time of these. So it can be twice as fast, 3 times as fast, 4 times as fast, or slower, which is very, very interesting because this is really cool. And you got different slopes. So mimicking different type of device. So you try them until you say, oh, I like that one. It's better for a kick. It's better for a hi-hat bit, whatever. So you play with them. You got, if you're not sure, you go over here, you over it. It's the pitch 1 ADSR amount. So how much the pitch will affect how much the ADSR would affect the pitch. So you want a pitch to go down, like you have often on kick drum, it goes a little bit down. If that's the case, you want to control this with here. Then you got the filter. You want the filter to be open or closed. Actually, this is not opening and close. This is the type of filter. Like clicking here doesn't do anything, but by moving here, you're going from low pass, 12 dB per octave, 24 dB per octave, band pass, 6 dB, 12, high pass, cum filtering, and cum filtering 2, I'm guessing. So this is all of these different filters you can use. You get the cutoff frequency, the resonance, the envelope controlling the VCF. So how much of the envelope, this one here, the VCF envelope, is controlling the envelope, the VCF envelope. So these are envelopes for the 3 of them combined into one. This is the envelope controlling the volume, the filter, and the pitch. And the 3 different sounds are being assigned to, they're going to go through the same filter, the same amplitude. They don't have separate envelope controls if you want. Now, this is the oscillator section. You see now you have oscillator 1, you have oscillator 2, and you have a noise. Actually, the last one is different. So the first one, of course, you get the frequency, and the 2 first one are the same, have the same options. So you've got the frequency, so the pitch. You have, let's say, you've got the shape itself, so the wave shape of it. And you see it changes. As you move this, you see it goes from square to pulse, go back to saw, double saw, and triangular. So I only listen to this one. Let me bring the volume up. Actually, no, this here, the pitch. It has different sound to it. Different, and this is for reverse, if I'm not mistaken. Now the pitch, the velocity, changing the pitch. It's kind of weird for now, but it's a percussion sound, so we'll be okay with that. And the last one here, the third sound, is a noise, but it can be a noise, but it also can be a sample, and you can also import your own file. So you can sample whatever you want, put it in, and work. You can even a sample bank if you want to. So very flexible in here. You can go further than what comes in the device itself. So let's go. You got noise, of course. Noise, you have some control. If I bring the noise up, you have a zone, filter, and resonance for it. So you still have a lot of control here. And this is direct. If you click direct, it will bypass the filter. So it will be in parallel with these going through the filter. And you can also say, no, I want to have a sample of a kick, you know. I'm going to tune it a little bit lower. So there's a lot of them now if you want to go through that. Remember that these can be combined. This one is too much. Then you get LFOs. LFO 1 and 2. So this is LFO 1 rate and delay. You can sync it. You can first shot just playing once, and you can reset it. And there's different shape you can activate, or one at a time, depending what you want. And same thing with the 2. Now these can be assigned to different destination. So they can be assigned to oscillator 1. So 1 and 2 are basically these 2 here. You're changing the LCO 1 or 2, the wave of the 1 and 2, and the filter value. So, but this one here, LCO 2, can be also assigned as a source of modulation for these destination. Now, you also have macros. We talked about macros over here in this section here, macro 1 and macro 2. The two macros here, if you want to control what they control, it's here. You can decide that macro 1 will be affecting, I don't know, the filter drive, and macro 2 will be affecting the modulator, I mean the LFO frequency. So, and then you say how much you want this to move. And you can even change the source of it. So this could also be assigned to be changed by an envelope. So it becomes an envelope follower that changed the macro that affects the sound. So very flexible. It's very, very flexible here. So that's the kind of where you go into advanced control. But if you don't want, you can stay here and just load the sound, and you have enough to play with here if you want to. Now, if you want to change the whole kit at once without changing the patterns, you can just click here and select the different kits. So really interesting. You can say randomize. It will change the sound, all the different sounds, to just pick another one. So basically, you have a drum patterns that you have a drum pattern that you like, but you're kind of looking for different sounds to play it. You can just randomize them. Or you can do smart randomize. So what it will do, it will replace drum kits, sounds with the same type of sound. So snares will be replaced by snares or clap. Hi-hat will be replaced by hi-hats. Toms will be replaced by other toms. So it stays into the same logic of the categories of sound if you want. So you can just try different things with the same rhythm, the same pattern, but different sounds. But they don't change from bass drum to snare or bass drum to crash. It stays in the same logic. So that's pretty cool. Now the patterns, you basically can click on them and select which one you want to have. So by clicking on them, you're just changing the whole way of playing it. You're not changing the synthesis. Synthesis is the kit itself. And then when you do this, you say A, for example, you can also decide how many beats per bar you want to have. 5, 6, so here we go, 8. So you get your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you can control and create a longer rhythm, longer pattern if you want. 8 is the maximum. So 1, you can go 1 if you want. That's kind of weird. But you can go 1 to 8, so you can have longer patterns, and each of them can be like that. So you can decide how they work differently for each of them. The other thing that is really particular here is you can go into beat mode here. Let's go back. Let's wait a sec. Let's go back to being just a 4/4 and go in beat. Now for each of them, each of the sound and each beat, you can decide how many division you want. You want 3, you want 4, you want 3, you want 4. I want 5. I want 4, I want 6, and I want 8. You go, what? Yeah, if I go back here, look at that. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you get 4, you get 6, and you get an 8. And if I click here, it's going to be putting hi-hat all over the place. So now if I play it, let's play. It might be too much. And I can go back here and put in solo. Go back into beats and say, well, finally, I wish I had only 4 here, and 4 here, and 4 here. It's going back to a normal rhythm. So you really have a lot of flexibility here and controlling this. And this is per pattern. So if you switch pattern to another one, it will go back to what this one is supposed to be, I personally like it because of the sound. I found that they sound really analog and electronic. And that's my goal. I like this. You can also, on just one snare here, one note, you can click on it and say, I want, instead of being one division, I want to do ratchet. So, ratcheting from one, you just right click on it and decide what you want to have. Okay, let's try. Now, you understand, I mean, now it's a question of building your own tracks and making it work, and then you just click on them and to switch them. Now, there's also a MIDI out here. The MIDI out is this, and when you have this MIDI is basically how you have the patterns. Let's say you click on pattern 1, you click on it and you drag it, and it becomes a MIDI file that triggers, if you open it, the entire pattern is here, and then you can just trigger it. And then the next section is basically you've got the filters, you've got the different control here, but the real cool thing I find is that when you play here, play live, you can even play. You're triggering patterns here, but they're real-time patterns that you can go in and you can still edit. That's the really cool part. I like to work with two drums often. I've got one that can be just like the drive, and the other one is just kind of, not percussion, but it fills the place. So I could have this as a background, like playing this. And I have another one at the front, I mean, it could be the other one, another track, and go on, you know? I like this. I like that sound. I like the way it works. Pretty cool. That's it. That's the xils-lab Stix. And it's just a cool software that makes me want to play live because there's this real life control. You can easily, it's like playing a bass, playing a drum machine, and that's really fun. That's it. Stay safe, make more music, and see you soon.